Jan, we're coming to the end of your first full year at ETSI, and you've launched a lot of initiatives as the new Director General. It's a perfect time to get your thoughts on how you've settled in and how things are going. So I'd ask you one question, which is, what has most surprised you about coming to ETSI?
I think pleased to be here and nice to have this opportunity for this interview. And I mean, it went really quite fast. I'm really surprised how quickly we have sort of managed to get the organization on one page and working towards one common goal. So I think that has maybe surprised me the most. And I'm not surprised about that because the staff we have in ETSI is extremely talented and they have a lot of capabilities that has not been fully exploited yet. So I think the staff is ETSI and we have to continue to build on that.
You've talked about your five-pronged strategy, right? How do you feel the reaction of both the ETSI staff, the secretariat staff, and the members? How have they reacted? Have they adopted it easily? Have they welcomed it? Is there been some pushback? What's been the reaction?
Well, I mean, there's this famous saying that you cannot please everybody all the time. So during my campaign, I was working with more than 100 members to develop those 5 key strategic priorities. So it was very well established from the member side. And of course the staff, I mean, this is just natural, logical continuation of what ETSI is and what ETSI stands for. So it was not a challenge to get the staff to sort of adapt and accept that strategic direction either. So I think it's a lot of groundwork was done before that. But again, I mean, I'm really surprised how quickly we have managed to actually start to implement it. That has been a bit of a surprise for me, a positive surprise.
You've chosen to make ETSI staff motivation, well-being, and equipping the staff with the tools to make things happen a central piece of your strategy. What was the logic behind having this approach?
ETSI is the staff. I mean, it's the staff that is providing the services to our members. So, I mean, you need to have highly motivated, highly skilled, and committed staff to be able to offer the absolutely best services to our members. In a sense, the ambition is to make sure that ETSI is the best standards organization in the world. There should not be any other alternative to us. And that starts with having the best talent, well-motivated staff that work in the best workplace in our industry that will automatically sort of retain the top talent that we have and also attract new top talent to join us. And we have seen that during this year. We have grown with about 20 plus positions and we have sort of seen a great interest.
Along with the well-being comes also making sure that the staff has everything that they need to actually make things happen, right? And progress. Are there any specific projects that you focused on this year and that you see in the future to equip the staff to really push this transformation forwards?
I mean, there are several things. I mean, first is the staff culture. My management philosophy is freedom under responsibility. So you have freedom to carry out your work how you want, and you can have quite a lot of autonomy in taking decisions yourself under sort of some given frames, of course. But there is no micromanagement in my management style, and I think that is sort of a cultural change that has required some efforts to get the staff to understand that this is the way forward, and still we have a little bit more to do in that area. I think it goes very much back to the managers about how you act as a manager, so that is something that we're going to work on continuously. Also, when it comes to having knowledge about new technologies that we're working with, AI, quantum, data, etc. These are new technology areas, so we have to sort of educate our colleagues in those new areas as well. And last but not least, also working methods, how we can use standards development processes is also going to sort of even further improve and increase the quality of the standards that we produce and the services that we offer. So these are going to be sort of key priorities going forward.
It's going to be a busy year of learning, I can tell. One of the things that you focused on, re-establishing ETSI's place with the European Commission, with ETSI's role as an ESO, a European Standard Organization. There are 3 of those. ETSI's role is different from the other 2. You mentioned that you really wanted to rebuild that relationship. How is that working?
This was maybe my key priority, the low-hanging fruit, so to say. Get back to have a more healthy working relationship with the European Commission. I'm not really revealing any secrets, but during my campaign I was of course also discussing with the European Commission what should be my priorities going forward. So that was well known on both sides, despite what was claimed in the press during the election campaign. Very much in that is also to educate the Commission about the unique values of ETSI. We are, as you said, different from the other 2. We are industry enabled, industry driven to a large extent, and that gives us a unique asset to build upon. When we represent the industry, we can much more faster and more agile, take on new work, develop those standards based on market needs. A strength that we have with the direct participation model, etc., that the other 2 does not have. So it's very much to explain and together with the Commission exploit those capabilities in the best interest of European industry.
Do you think that this policy team that you've really developed, how is that an asset vis-a-vis the relationship with the European Commission and our central roles in the ESO?
Yeah, of course. I mean, for me, it goes without saying that we have to serve our responsibilities as an ESO and have to be in Brussels. So, I mean, it was not a difficult decision at all to open a Brussels office and actually create a policy affairs department around that, responsible for the day-to-day work together with the Commission and also other policy stakeholders. We should not forget that we're not only serving the 27 EU member states, our heritage is CEPT, so we have also an obligation towards the other European governments to sort of also be their standards organization. So that is something that we have to strengthen also going forward. But the first initial focus has been to strengthen the relation with the European Commission.
When we think about Europe, we want to reinforce this part of a European standard organization, at the same time go beyond it, go global, or we are global to a certain extent. We've seen it with 3GPP, etc. But how do you see that coexistence in between that European focus and the global focus? Are they compatible?
They are very much compatible. There is no contradiction in that at all. I mean, that is how ETSI was set up. ETSI was set up to secure that GSM, which was European innovation, was becoming global. I mean, if you look sort of from the tech industry, there is not a single region or country in the world that can be totally self-sufficient when it comes to developing technologies. So if you want to develop the absolutely best technology for a given area, it has to be a global collaboration. We bring sort of in the European aspect in that. I mean, we are trusted because we're European. We have a long tradition of standardization and having joint work in Europe as a continent. The global community respects that and understands that working with Europe, we create something together that is worth more and have a higher value and higher quality than what they could do themselves. So there is no contradiction in that. We are a trusted platform, we're European. Of course, we sort of the topics that we drive start from European research and innovation, but we have to put that in combination with innovation done outside Europe to jointly develop the absolutely best solutions.
To a certain extent, by being the best European standard organization, the most linked to businesses and national standards organization, we end up being the choice, the natural choice for global as well.
Indeed.
Okay. We see the world torn in between a multilateral approach, which ETSI is representing, and a multipolar approach where you have more country poles. How do you see standards going? Do you think there is a risk of standards going towards a multipolar approach with the United States or China deciding that they have their standards, or do you see the approach, the multilateral approach that ETSI has been pushing for years now, do you see that going on in the future?
No, I think you're right in observation that the US and China are sort of trying to enforce their standards on the rest of the world. But of course, that will not work because there are many other countries and regions in the world that are in exactly the same position as Europe. And it is only benefits ETSI because we are then becoming even more interesting to work with, to sort of develop those standards jointly between like-minded countries that does not necessarily want to live under US-dominated or Chinese-dominated technologies. So we offer a European-based alternative on a global scale, and we see a lot of progress and success in that area.
It's a bit more of a neutral approach to a certain extent.
Yes, indeed.
Having joined ETSI recently also, I always associate ETSI with telecommunications. And as I arrived at ETSI, I found out, well, the T is more than just telecommunications. It's technologies or ICT related. And you've made that also a focus in terms of, I mean, of course, ETSI had already evolved to working on different adjacent technologies, but you've accelerated that approach in certain sectors. How is that going? Because it must be hard to actually get different actors to trust ETSI on this dimension. So how do you see that going, and where do you think we need to focus to ensure our legitimacy and credibility in those different spaces?
I mean, it's true that our heritage is telecommunication, but what is telecommunication today? It's actually a plethora of different technologies. And if you look at how the big telecom operators are evolving, they are becoming full-stack service providers of not only connectivity services, but everything adjacent to it and around it. So AI type of services, data sharing, etc. So this is just a natural evolution of what we do. We have to evolve to stay relevant with the sort of expectations of what ETSI is going to deliver. And why not make that very explicit as part of our marketing and positioning, so that becomes clear. And that will also then sort of naturally give us better trustworthiness when it comes to attracting the other adjacent industries that has to work together to develop horizontal solutions. So I don't sort of see that as being a major shift. It's more the messaging and the positioning. From a technical point of view, it does not mean that we are going to sort of change a lot from the direction that was already sort of given by the market requirements.
And I think we're seeing more and more new members coming from different technologies than just telecom.
Of course, yeah. So of course, when you start to be explicit on that, we are working on quantum, for instance. Of course, that will automatically attract players that are unique in that domain, and that is of course in the benefit of our stakeholders, because we evolve to be the platform where you do that work.
Why do you see this evolution? Now, we're not moving away from telecommunications, but why do you see this evolution of going into quantum, going into data, AI, going into cybersecurity? Why do you see this as essential for the survival of ETSI or the growth of ETSI? Why is it essential?
It's essential from two points of view. I mean, if we need to stay on pace and follow the development and the technologies that our members are working on. So it follows with that. I mean, connectivity today is just one very narrow piece of what our members are actually offering and has to work on from a standardization point of view. So to stay relevant and also guarantee the survival of ETSI, that we can grow and thrive also in the future, we need to sort of secure that we offer a platform for doing the standardization of those new technologies.
I'm going to take you back to the telecommunication side. So I had the luck of being initiated to 3GPP last week in Baltimore, and I'd like to get your point of view of how do you see ETSI's role in the development of 6G? Because we have this sort of offshoot 3GPP, which is working in parallel. But there's still a role for ETSI, independent of 3GPP, in terms of 6G. How would you define that role?
Based on sort of that ETSI took the initiative to form 3GPP, we are providing the secretariat support for 3GPP, and we will of course continue to do that in the best possible way. So
in the form of MCC, I believe.
In the form of MCC, exactly. So that will of course not change. We will continue to do that and secure that we are the best organization that can offer that support. Then from a 6G research point of view, I mean, we do have ISGs that have sort of been used to do some pre-development and pre-standardization of certain 6G features. But now when 6G picks up pace in 3GPP and that become sort of the forum where you focus all that work, there is not much that ETSI should do in doing 6G specific activities. We should secure that our members are focusing that work into 3GPP to secure that we avoid fragmentation, etc.
I've heard that you're also looking at the evolution of ETSI, not just on the adjacent technologies in ICT, but also you're starting to look at the sectorial approach, thinking about what could be standardization needs in the defense sector or in other sectors which may have, needs for standardization, especially given the evolution of things in Europe. And defense seems to be very, very active in terms of potential needs for going beyond country-specific activities and moving forward. And there's a lot to learn from, I guess, what we've done in terms of telecommunications and beyond.
Indeed. So, I mean, if you look at many of the technologies that we do standardize are dual use. So they are sort of for public or private use, but also with some adaptations for defense use. And now with the geopolitical development that we see, it's clear that Europe has to sort of come together and in a much explicit way than before secure that we have a harmonized defense industry. And you see that reflected in European initiatives like SAFE, which is a big defense industry initiative with, I think, 1.2 trillion euros investment capacity, and also now sort of starting to attract non-European partners into that. Canada was announced a few days ago, and I think Japan, South Korea, etc. is also going to be partners in that. And I mean, it's natural that ETSI sort of steps up and take the responsibility to support that initiative with doing the standardization. So looking at the technologies that we have standardized or going to standardize for public and private use, we can also offer ETSI as a platform for doing the defense-specific enhancements to those standards. So it's just following sort of that development. And we are already in good discussions with European Defence Agency and also other European procurement offices for defence material. So we are sort of already starting to make some progress into that area.
It's a bit of a continuation of the work we've been doing within critical communications
yes,
in the past.
Indeed. Also 5G and 6G, of course. Quantum will indeed have defense applications as well.
So you've been racking up the air miles in the past year and a half, right? Visiting not just Brussels, but a lot of different countries, Canada, etc. What were the meetings that most marked you and you feel were kind of milestone sessions or trips? And what do you see coming next in 2026 in terms of your trips, your diplomacy going forwards for ETSI?
No, I think what is sort of an eye-opener is this, how many other countries are in the same situation as Europe. Given the geopolitical circumstances, there is a big desire to work with Europe, and ETSI in particular, from Japan, from South Korea, also to some extent Australia, although they don't have a strong tradition of being in standardization, but there's an interest. And to come together and join forces with ETSI and do standardization in AI, quantum, etc., in sort of some form of partnership. So that is maybe the big achievement that we have managed to get with those trips during this year. And we will sort of continue along those lines during next year as well. So build global partnerships with like-minded countries.
I'm amazed by the variety of actors that are involved in the ETSI ecosystem. I've never seen that before, with so many, with government organization, international organizations, private corporations, standard organizations. It's just the diversity, and I think that's probably what makes ETSI so unique, is it includes so many different viewpoints, and that's probably also what's going to makes its force and it's sort of its life insurance policy in terms of going forward.
Exactly. So the founders of ETSI knew what we were doing, because that is exactly why ETSI was set up: drive European innovation in the benefit of European industry out on the global scale. Started with GSM. So we are just continuing with that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Jan. Are any last words that you'd like to say for the year end or 2026?
Well, this year has been very busy, and I think we all deserve Christmas break and relaxing holidays. And we will continue to have fun next year too.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jan.
Thank you.